On January 22nd and January 21st in some areas, it's going to be a new moon in Aquarius, and it's the beginning of the year of the water rabbit. And so as of January 22nd, there is nothing retrograde, which means we can all move forward. Yay! Except for a couple caveats. And what does that mean for you? That's what we're going to talk about. Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, here to talk to you today about the new moon. It's on January 22nd. It's at 1 degree Aquarius. We're going to do a short overview and then we're going to go sign by sign. By the way, I've done a few video courses and I have one on how to read the tarot. If you're interested in learning how to read the tarot, either to do it for friends and family or to do it as a professional, check out the description or the link in the description. Okay, here in California, where I live, on January 21st, we're going to have the new moon at about 1 p.m. Now, because of the time difference, that will be January 22nd in China, which will mean the beginning of the Lunar New Year. The Lunar New Year always occurs on the new moon that is in Aquarius, and this year is going to be the year of the water rabbit. So I have some videos on the energy of the year of the water rabbit on my channel, which I'll put some links in the description. But the most interesting thing about Chinese astrology is it gives an overall theme for the year. Now, it's very difficult in Western astrology to get a theme for the year because mostly we're looking at different aspects forming at different times. So in Western astrology, we often define the year through critical aspects. And in 2023, we have several. And that would be that Saturn is going to go into Pisces, Pluto is going to dip its toe into Aquarius and then run back to Capricorn. Jupiter will go through Aries and then go into Taurus. And we have an eclipse at a critical degree in April. This will be one of 4 eclipses that are happening, but the one in April is the one to watch out for. So when we look at Saturn in Pisces, Saturn represents authority, leadership, and respect. Pisces represents a lack of boundaries. You know, it's about spirituality, it's about your intuition, it's about communicating with the universe as a greater whole, but it also represents the darker side of humanity, and that is the downtrodden, the people who struggle, and also, you know, sickness and weakness and where we run to when we're afraid. During this time, we are going to see that all of the kind of deterioration in our faith in leadership really gets accelerated. And so it will feel like there's nobody really steering the ship. Now, it is possible that somebody who is an underdog could rise up and become a leader during this time, but it may not happen in 2023. As I said, this is a 2.5-year cycle. So we may be looking for someone who really speaks for the masses, and this might be someone who is spiritual or a religious leader, but it may be just someone who just seems to come out of nowhere who speaks for the people. Now, if you'd like me to do a more in-depth video of Saturn and Pisces, let me know in the comment section. Now, Pluto, which is our slowest moving planet, gets to 0 degrees Aquarius and then turns around, goes retrograde back into Capricorn. So this means we're not really going to even get a taste of what Pluto in Aquarius is about. It will take actually several years for us to truly understand this energy. But when we look back in the past, we can see how there's going to be big changes. Now, Capricorn energy, where Pluto is now, is very much about tradition and respect and doing things the old way, where Aquarius is about innovation and change and doing things very differently. And so that's going to be quite a disruption. Now, Pluto itself is a very transformative planet. And I know we use that word, but what that means is Pluto will take everything that's not working in our lives, the things that are broken, things that are decaying, and it gets rid of them, whether we felt we were done with those or not. So what can happen is that we feel like we get purified through some different challenges because Pluto comes in and will remove the crutches that we've been leaning on that we haven't needed. Now, throughout 2023, Pluto will be sitting sometimes at 29 degrees of Capricorn and sometimes at 0 degrees of Aquarius, and both of these are critical degrees. So the 29 Capricorn means that Pluto is going to take something from us. It's going to find something we've been leaning on that we shouldn't. And so the easiest thing to do in this situation is try to actively let go of stuff, let go of old attitudes, let go of unhelpful relationships, just let go. Now, the 0 degree Aquarius is about adopting something new, but at 0 degrees, we don't yet know what to adopt. So the best thing to do here is to be open to new possibilities, to try some new things, but not expect yourself to find exactly what you're looking for during 2023 because the energy is too new. Now, I can do a more in-depth video on Pluto and Aquarius, and if you're interested in that, leave me a comment. Now, Jupiter is going to go from Aries to Taurus, and so Jupiter in Aries is extremely aggressively moving forward because we take all of that very powerful forward-moving energy of Aries and we expand it. So this means that everyone who has a little bit of frustration and anger that they have not been able to move forward, now that's turned up to 11. So you're going to see people being really forceful about what they want and to go the way that they want to go. Then Jupiter will go into Taurus. Now that's very interesting energy because that's more in harmony with the year of the water rabbits, because Jupiter in Taurus expands our desire to have money and security and comfort. And most of those are very rabbit oriented. So because a rabbit is very much about home, family, food, security, and all of that would add up to comfort. So in the second half of 2023, we see it to be a much quieter period. I think that all of the big excitement is happening in the first half of the year. And then the second half, we're settling down. And not because things are so peaceful. Unfortunately, it's more because we're tired. We need a break. And so we're retreating a bit from the extremes of, the media and all that's going on, and we're pulling back so that we can be closer to family, be closer to our good friends, and so that we can, build our spiritual families together. Now, then there are the eclipses, and of course there'll be 4 eclipses this year, 2 solar and 2 lunar, and eclipses are the universe's way of doing a course correction for us. So, if you're heading in the right direction, then the universe picks you up and carries you to the destination, opening up big doors. And so, if you're on the path of changing jobs, this can be a time where you get interviews, opportunities, employment contracts, etc. But if you are not making changes in your life as your life path is laid out, then the eclipse can be a course correction in that, instead of looking for a job, you were holding back, and so now you've lost your job. Now you've been laid off. Now you're needing to look for the job, and the result is still the same. In a few months' time, you have your new job, and you're quite happy about that. So, but how disruptive the eclipse is how much you are open to your path and open to the potential change that could happen. Now, eclipses are always times of change, but in April, we have an eclipse at a critical degree. So just as I mentioned with Pluto, this will be at 29 Aries. That is very intense energy. Now, I will be doing an in-depth video on the eclipses, and specifically this eclipse, and so watch for it on this channel. And of course, when we talk about these big themes, not everything happens in every location at the same time. So, when we talk about the themes of the water rabbit or the themes of Saturn and Pisces, etc., it may not happen in your town or in your neighborhood or in your household, but these are themes that happen throughout the world. This is why we study astrology, so that we can look at what's happening specific to us so that we can be prepared. As I've always said, astrology is like a GPS. And if it shows traffic ahead, if it shows the road is out, you have an opportunity then to make a change. And that's where you can have a much smoother, easier life. So at the risk of making this a super long video, let's take a look at the chart for the next 2 weeks. And that is that there's nothing retrograde. That's fantastic. Jupiter is in Aries, so there's a desire to run forward. And yet with the water rabbit overlay, there's a little extra caution. You know, when you think of all the animals of the Chinese zodiac, the rabbit is not aggressive. You know, the rabbit is quiet and just wants this peaceful life. And so there's a contrast of the energies going on. And we see that in the Western astrology chart. And that is that we see Venus, which is the planet of what we want, sitting with Saturn, which is the planet that says you can't have it. And so there is a sense of, as we move forward on something that we want, somebody who says they are the authority tells us we can't have that thing. Or when we get the thing, it's dented, it's tarnished, it's just not what we want. So this is causing us to rethink our wants. Additionally, Mercury is making an inconjunct to Mars. Now, this is an aspect that we've talked about on this channel. It's about making adjustments. But in this case, Mercury, which is this planet of ideas and plans, is not in harmony with the planet of action. And so because of this incompatibility, it's like thinking, all right, I'm going to go be a runner. And then what you do is you sit down and read a magazine on running. So they're related, but they're not really, one planet's not helping the other. So with this energy, you need to be very mindful, just in case you're doing something that is not in harmony with your plans. So one question you might ask yourself is, what's the most direct action that I can take? Now, just to let you know, we are doing tropical Western astrology in this video. It's a good idea to listen to your ascending sign if you know it, and that is going to tell you basically what's going to be happening for you. If you don't know your ascending sign, you can listen to your sun sign, and that's going to tell you about things that you should do for your personal growth. If you don't know your rising sign, which is also ascending sign, you can send me your birth information and I'll send you a copy of your chart. I also wanted to let you know that I do readings if you want to get an in-depth look at what's going to be happening for you. Also check out my books and my courses, as I mentioned before. I also write for various websites, including horoscope.com and astrology.com. And thank you so much for watching these videos and supporting astrology. Okay, let's go sign by sign. Okay, Aries, you guys are doing this new moon in your 11th house. This is the house of friendships, as well as acquaintances, also groups, organizations, the community. It is also technology, and so working on that, and you thinking about the future. So all of these things are where your energy should be concentrated on for the next 2 weeks. Now, when we look at the Mercury-Mars inconjunct, Mercury is in your 10th house. That is your career. And so then you may have plans about doing something with your job or your business, or putting yourself out there into the world for social media, or being seen in some way. But the action you're taking is that Mars in the 3rd house. And so what you need to focus on is the paperwork side of this, the application side of this, posting your resume, getting the interview scheduled, doing those very direct communication activities is what is needed so that you don't get caught in this inconjunct energy in a non-productive way. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the energy is really pointing much towards friendships right now, because there's no aspect going on between the Sun and Mars, and you have a full house in friendships. So if you focus on bringing in somebody who could be a friend, then a love relationship could form. And so that is focus on groups and organizations, meeting somebody in person, or if you've been talking to someone online, meet them as a friend first and then see if there can be love. Now, when it comes to your existing love relationship, there's no aspect going on between Venus and Mars, which could mean that you're not spending that much time together, that you're both in your own little worlds working on different things. You may be, focused on that paperwork stuff that we talked about, doing applications, going to interviews, or working on contracts while your partner is out doing more social things. So, or it could be vice versa. So, but right now you're not necessarily working so much on the relationship, but I'm not seeing a lot of tension between the two of you. So I think that things are going on as kind of like usual. Now, when it comes to friendships, as I said already, you have a full house for this. Plus, Mars is making a semi-sextile to Uranus. So you have this energy to make something happen, but there's some sort of block on this, and it's so minor. It's just like a little bit of friction, maybe that you don't necessarily want to go to the group meeting. It's probably cold outside, and it takes a lot to, clear the path for the car or something. So there's going to be a little bit of friction, but once you get past that friction, you could find somebody for a friendship during this time. When it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Venus, which is sitting up there in a money house, which is fantastic. Now, this is sitting there with Saturn, though, so that means that you're looking at how much work everything is, and so you're kind of weighing out the different ideas that you might have to say, all right, this is going to take this long to do, or this much effort, or this, I have to bring in this much expertise to make it happen. And so there is definitely a focus on the how much effort to how much reward you're going to be getting. And so I do see you really weighing that. Now, the best use of Saturn is to go to the mountain and just start climbing. And that is, you say, it's going to be hard. I'm not going to like it. But as you do it more and more, you will like it more and more because you will become the authority. You'll become the expert. So you may, in some of your money-making endeavors, get people who are going to tell you this is not going to work, you're going the wrong direction, etc. But if you put in the effort, you will find that you are heading the right direction. So, think about, is this something where they're just tapping into your fears? Or is it that they themselves are afraid of the work that it's going to take to make this a success? Now, when it comes to money from traditional investments or money from your business, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Pluto. So this means there are profits to be made, but there are some little nitpicky sort of details that you have to watch out for. And that is when you're pricing your jobs, make sure that you're taking, different things into consideration, maybe, how much it's going to take to ship materials or how long things are going to take in that vein. So when you're looking at investments, look at the fees you might be paying, look at the little things, because those are the things that can make or break your profits. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so like a paycheck, now you have some of the best energy that we've seen. Well, I can't say all year because this is the first new moon of the year. But this is really good energy for you because even though Venus is not making an aspect with Uranus, Venus is in Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus, which is in Taurus, which is ruled by Venus, and everybody's in a money house. So everything here is all tied together to give you more money in your job. There is that one obstacle that Venus is conjunct Saturn, and that means that you have to go to the scary authority and say, I want this. And the scary authority is going to ask, why should I give it to you? And you need to be ready to say why you are the authority, why you do deserve this. So when you do that, you can win. If you want to wait until this energy lines up better, it will in the future. So you will get more chances towards this. So if it just feels like too big a hill to climb, then put this off. But if you do make the effort, I think you'll be successful. Okay, Taurus, you guys are doing this new moon right at the top of your chart. That is your 10th house, and that means you're very easily seen. So this means if you are doing some marketing for your business, if you are putting yourself out there socially, if you are doing anything where you're on a stage, you are more visible right now. And so this is a perfect time to be on stage, to tell the world what it is that you want or what you can do. So this is a time, too, where you may get some opportunity when it comes to your career because you're so yeah. Some words are tough. So because you're so visible, what can happen is that you are picked up for the interview or for the promotion. So this is something you want to capitalize on. Now, when it comes to that Mercury-Mars inconjunct, Mercury is in your house of education, and so it's looking for how to gain the information that you need. Maybe that's through courses, maybe it's going back to conventional school. And Mercury in the 9th house is also about travel. And so, of course, that has many education possibilities, not just from going to school abroad, but just learning by traveling. And this is also your house of legal matters, and so there may be some sort of lawsuit that you're dealing with. Now, all of that's making an inconjunct Mars in your house of money. And so the direct thing to do, the way to get through this inconjunct energy is to actually really focus on your finances. Where are you strong? Where are you deficient in this area so that you can get things shored up, get the resources that you need to go back to school or to travel, or maybe to say, all right, I need to settle in this lawsuit, or I need to double down on this lawsuit. So the inconjunct energy is tying these two things together. And so during this time, there is the thing that you are planning to do and the resources that you need to do it. And these are the things that need to be worked on. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury is making a semi-square to Venus. And because everything is so elevated in this chart, it is quite easy right now for you to meet someone. Now, the interesting thing is that this meeting can go from 0 to 60 pretty fast. This is an intense aspect where you can first feel very irritated by the person and then feel very interested in the person, and they may do the same. And so there can be something where a little bit of friction causes a fire and then the excitement happens. So going out and meeting someone, even someone who on the surface doesn't feel like a match, once you get to know this person, even just in a date or two, you may change your mind. So this is a good time for meeting somebody new. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Pluto. So the two of you are coming together to work out some minor details. And these minor details could be something like the travel arrangements. One of you wants to save money, and so they are willing to make stops with the airplane. The other one wants to fly nonstop or something like that. So the minor details, which sometimes can trip up a couple, you two now could work out. You could find those little tiny things that are irritating, both of you, and then find some compromises. Now, when it comes to friendships, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Neptune. So there is an opportunity to meet someone new. And this person may have some spiritual resources for you or some creative resources for you, something that could help you in something that you are working on. So this may be that you're connecting with a group of individuals who know about this or reaching out to someone through social media. So there is some energy here for making new friends. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Mercury, which is up in your 9th house. And it was there for a while because it was retrograding Capricorn. And of course, it's still in Capricorn. And so this is your area of contracts and agreements as well as education. So for making more money, it's possible that you are looking at a contract and deciding whether to sign, doing some negotiations, or you may be looking at giving yourself some more education about something very specific. And, I'm very much a believer in getting very specific information for what you're looking for. And so it's like this in astrology. Astrology is a very big study. And so it's very helpful if you're trying to answer a specific question. And I think it's the same with a lot of different studies where, if you're trying to learn a language, it's not as useful to memorize the dictionary as to learn a few phrases. So this is where, with this Mercury and money, where you would want to focus on the questions that you're trying to answer, which might be about business licensing, about doing import-export businesses, or what kind of knowledge that you need to get your business going. And it doesn't all have to be about business because this is your money house. So it could be about handling money or other sources of income. Now, when it comes to traditional investments and money from your business, you look like you're making more than usual because Mercury is making a square to Jupiter. It looks like something that is not so typical, maybe a little bordering on the lucky, is happening with this. And so something's coming together to make something happen. It does look like you're actively pursuing this. This is not a passive thing. Squares are not passive. This is you're doing something, but you're getting some good results. Just know that some of these results may be atypical. So I do see you making more than usual. In fact, you could make quite a bit more than usual, but that's not going to be the usual with whatever it is you're doing. So it's just things are coming together in a positive way right now. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so like a paycheck, Mercury is not making an aspect with Neptune. Now, Neptune is in that money house and it is going to be there for a long time. So you're going to get different periods of time throughout the year where it is going to be easy to ask for a raise or, a new position or something like that. But right now, it's not really lining up that way. Now, you do have very strong energy in the house of career. So I would certainly tell you to negotiate for the salary going in. And that is a definite. But if you are an existing business or I should say an existing job, going to them right now may not give you the results you're looking for. Okay, Gemini, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of travel, education, also your philosophy, your beliefs, your connection to higher powers. And so the new moon indicates that you're doing something new in these areas. And so look for a new opportunity to go somewhere, maybe an education opportunity. Maybe you are the student, maybe you're the teacher, and maybe some real connection like receiving messages from your higher self, feeling that you're more connected to the universe. Now, when we look at the Mercury-Mars in conjunct, Mercury is in your house of resources and passive income. And so this is where your plans are. This is what you're thinking about. This is what you are maybe trying to get going. So, and then Mars is in your own sign of Gemini, and that's been going on for a while because Mars has been retrograde. So now that Mars is moving forward, you have a limited time of using this energy. Now, the interesting thing is because of the inconjunct, there is still a disconnect between what your plans are and what you're actually doing. And so that might mean that you are waiting for inspiration or waiting to feel more confident or waiting for someone else to do something. And that's not the thing to be doing right now, because with Mars in your own sign, that means that you have the energy that you can make something happen on your own, that you don't have to wait for others. So that might mean that you are actively building some sort of partnership with someone who's going to help you with passive income sources or your own business. So, and this might be your banker, your broker, or some sort of financial partner. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Mercury, and so there is some opportunity here. Now, it's really interesting because you have a full ninth house, and that indicates that the person that you are connecting with or attracting is somewhat different than you are. Perhaps they're from a different country, maybe they have a different philosophy, maybe they have a different political ideology, belief system. Perhaps they have a different religion, and so there is something different about them, but the attraction is unmistakable. So that if you are looking for new love, look at going a little bit outside maybe what you normally do and see who you can meet. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury is making a square to Jupiter, and so there's a lot of activity going on between the two of you. It's possible that you're traveling now, and that's why you're so busy together, because you're in new circumstances. So, or there is something where you're doing a big focus on education. Maybe you're doing some team teaching together. Maybe you're both in school studying different things. And so you have to get your routines together. So, but there's a lot of interaction between the two of you. You look like you're helping each other, and you are coming up with new ideas about, like how to make the relationship work better. Now, when it comes to friendships, that's represented by this exact inconjunct between Mercury and Mars. And so this does say that there is a lot of attention that you need to pay to friendships right now, that there is something going on with a friend. Maybe they need your help. Maybe you are requesting help from someone. Maybe you're getting involved with a group of people, acquaintances, and someone in there can become a friend. So, but there are some adjustments that you need to make, and that might mean that your schedule right now is not allowing for time for friends. Maybe you need to find a way to insert that time into your schedule, or that, again, maybe you are reconciling with a friend, and so you're both having to do some sort of conciliation. Oh, goodness. Mercury retrograde. When I shoot these during Mercury retrograde, it never goes smoothly. That you're both needing to make some sort of adjustment to make the relationship work. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from the moon, which is in your house of contracts, agreements, also things that are foreign. And so if you're doing some sort of money-making activity with somebody in a foreign country or a company that has its offices there, maybe you're starting an import or export business. It's also possible that you are looking to sign some contracts. Maybe you are doing the legal parts of your business, maybe establishing its business entity, or the framework of the business, putting in the different articles or setting up a board or things like that. It's also possible that you're doing a lot of education stuff around your money-making activities. So this could mean that you're taking courses to figure out how to make more money, or you're teaching something that is a money-making source for you. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, the moon is making a semi-sextile, which is out of sign to Saturn. So it's a little remote. So first, it's more of a minor aspect, and then second, it's out of sign. So which all of that adds up to it's not as easy for you to make the extra money this time. I think you're making about the same as usual, but there is, even in that, there's a little bit extra effort that you have to put in. And that also is because the Mercury is in that house and it's making that inconjunct to Mars. And so when we look at the pressure your 8th house is going through, it's going through extra pressure. And so that means that you need to stop and do those little things that are going to really help facilitate the business in the future. So that might mean that there's some sort of paperwork bottleneck, or there's an order flow problem, or that there's a funnel problem. There's something, and when you take care of it, it's kind of like a little bit of Drano. It just suddenly everything starts to flow. So look for that little friction and see if that can't be solved. Now, when it comes to money from your career, so that would be like a paycheck, the moon is not making an aspect with Mars. You do have Jupiter in Aries there. Of course, it's going to be there until May, so you do have time where you are going to have the aspects line up, but right now it's not. And so you may get some pushback if you're asking for a raise. They may say that you're not at the right education level, you haven't been there enough time, or that there's some sort of legal or rule thing that's tying their hands. So instead of hitting all of those excuses, you might just want to wait until this aspect lines up, and it will line up in the future. Okay, Cancer, you guys are doing this new moon in your 8th house. This is about resources from others, as well as power, control, and finding out the truth. So this is where you get to know someone so well that you know what's really going on, even beneath the surface. And so this can mean that you are not starting a relationship from scratch, but starting a relationship and taking it to a new level. And so that maybe you are talking about things from your past, or they're talking about things from the past, and it's becoming this more intimate connection. So, but more importantly, I guess it's not more importantly, but in my mind, it's also about resources. And this is that you have an opportunity to find some new source of income. And that means that money from a business or money from an investment source or money that you're just receiving can come in. So now this could be tied to this relationship thing that I was just talking about. Maybe the two of you are talking about money and establishing some sort of money flow between the two of you. So you may be receiving some money from family or some other thing that you've been working on. So all of this is about where you need to open up and receive. So now we see the very strong relationship component because Mercury is making that inconjunct to Mars. And so Mercury is in your house of relationships and Mars is in your 12th house. That's your hidden house. So this means you might have your mind on relationships of all kinds. That is intimate relationships as well as friendships and business associates and connections. And it's making that inconjunct to Mars. And it's so that inconjunct to Mars is indicating that the things that could be helpful right now are you doing the more magical or feng shui types of things. And that is to first visualize what you want from the relationship before you make the phone call, or, put out some things in your home, feng shui wise, to attract the energy of relationships and partnerships. And that can be things like, putting a bowl on an entryway table so that then you can put your wishes into the bowl, or putting a lucky cat. And so the little cat that waves, and so that you're calling in that positive energy. Of course, this Mars in the 12th can also be meditation, visualization, affirmations, journaling. What you don't want to do with this Mars is escape. You don't want to just zone out and be playing video games or watching TV. That's not a good use for this Mars. And so a lot of the positives come when you actively use this Mars. And by the way, having Mars go through the 12th house can give you a lot of energy. And so you may have these bursts of energy where you can get a lot done, especially towards a goal. So watch for that. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, you have a really good chart this time, because not only do you have all these planets in the 8th house of intimacy and Mercury in your 7th house, but there is an out-of-sign conjunction going on between Moon and Pluto. Now, the out-of-sign part means that this new person that you meet may not be like what you were expecting. They may be different in some way, and so that's the unexpected part. It is also possible that you're going to a new place, or you didn't expect to meet a person in such a place. Like you meet them in the grocery store and you never meet anybody in the grocery store. Or you go to a singles thing where you never meet anybody, but you meet somebody there. So that's where the unexpected things can happen with this out-of-sign conjunction. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the energy is good. Okay, I didn't say, that wasn't very convincing, was it? So the moon is making a semi-sextile to Saturn. And so that energy is that there is something that is kind of tripping you up. There's some little thing, a little hurt that is, in the way of this. And it's not big enough that maybe you've sat down and talked about it. This, by the way, is an out-of-sign semi-sextile. And so that's even worse, because maybe you can't even put your finger on what it is exactly that's bothering you. But if you can figure it out and sit down with your partner, you have a real opportunity to clear the air. So I think that it's, again, you're quite busy. And so it is a matter of trying to find the time to sit down and say, what is the thing? How do I say this to the person so that they can understand that this is bothering me, etc. So overall, again, it's not a bad aspect, but it's not the greatest of aspects. So, again, I talked about this in the last sign. It's Mercury retrograde, so I'm extra tongue-tied this time. So this is where you want to look at the issues with the relationship. If you don't, there's just this little underlying thing that you'll have to deal with later. And so I think that the relationship's going fairly well, except for this little tiny thing they're doing that bugs you. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from the sun, which is now in a money house, and it's going to be there for a little bit. And this gives you many opportunities. You have new ideas. You have people stepping up who are going to help you with things. So this means more access to bankers and brokers and cash. So there are opportunities to fund a business. There are opportunities for a new job. You have Jupiter elevated in your chart. So you have some really good energy around money, which should make up for all my stumbling over the love part. Now, when it comes to traditional investments and money from your business, it looks very strong. I don't think all the profits are really getting to you, though. So let me step back. First of all the planets involved are in money houses, so that's really good. But there is no aspect going on between Sun and Uranus, so that's the usual. The money is out here and it hasn't quite reached you yet. And that just could be that you are paid, in 30 days or you're paid in 60 days. And so it's just taking a little bit of time for the money to reach you. I do see, though, that the flow of business is definitely coming in. It looks like you have customers. It looks like you have investments that are going in the direction that you want them to. So it looks very strong. It's just the profits are lagging a little bit, but they will show up. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, the sun is not making an aspect to Venus. However, again, everything is in a money house. And so what I'm seeing is what's more likely is if you went and asked for a raise, you'd get the addition in perks. And that is you might get discounts, or you might get a better stock option, or you might get more vacation time. That's the easier thing to ask for right now, and something that is maybe within your boss's ability to grant you without them having to go up the food chain. So if you are focused on something like you want to work at home position, or you want more flexibility in your hours or something like that, that's a type of thing to ask for at this time. That's where we see the luck. If you're asking for a direct raise, I think you're going to get delayed. So you might as well wait until the energy lines up. Okay, Leo, you're doing this new moon in your 7th house. That is about relationships, partnerships, connections. It is about collaborating with others and meeting people of all types, like celebrities and everyday people and everybody. So, and that house is full right now because you have Sun, Moon, Venus, Saturn there, and Pluto is right outside that cusp. And so that's a lot of opportunities to meet new people. And so this is a time to be looking for friendships or a love relationship if you are, or to look for people to collaborate with. So that's where all the new energy is. Now, Mercury is doing that in conjunct to Mars. So Mercury is in your house of routines and daily habits. This is about health and well-being. And so Mercury in the 6th house is indicating that you have a lot of thoughts about this, maybe thinking about changing your eating habits, maybe thinking about putting exercise into your daily routine, or thinking about your work process in general and how you can streamline things. And it's making that in conjunct to Mars. Now, Mars is in the 11th house, and so that is about groups, the community, and also technology. And so the technology piece could help productivity a lot, but there's some sort of adjustment that you have to make. Maybe you don't know how to use the software. Maybe you don't know if the software exists. So that takes a little bit of searching. When it comes to health, it is about going and finding either technology, that's still possible, but probably a community to support you. And maybe you're reticent about that, but that would be a way to go. Or to at least enlist some friends, to be on the buddy system where there's some sort of accountability partner to help you out. So that's where you're doing that inconjunct energy. And I should say that with this combination, because it's really a 6th house, 7th house, 11th house experience that you're having, that this is your opportunity to gather together people who you aspire to be. And so, if you're hanging out with friends who are always, kind of going and sinking to where you don't want to be, this is your opportunity to find some new people to hang out with who are going to lift you up. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the sun is making a sextile to Jupiter. Plus, of course, you have that full 7th house. And so this is a really great opportunity for you to go out and meet new people. And this means everywhere you go, you could meet new people. Going to the post office, going to the gym, taking a walk, you can meet new people. So be in the mindset that you could meet someone. And so, that means to look up and look at the world and smile at the world. And then you could find someone who meets your gaze and a conversation could begin. So now, of course, you can go to the traditional methods too, because this energy is quite good for meeting someone. So that means online dating or having your friends fix you up. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the energy is quite good also. Even though the sun is not making an aspect to Uranus, the sun is in Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus. So we have that connection. You have a full 7th house. And so it does feel like the two of you are closer than ever, that you might be starting something new together. And so there's that excitement, or you're going to new places, or just even going out with other couples and just having a good time. So it does look like your existing love relationship is going quite well. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Mercury, which is in your 6th house of work and routines. And so that means that the thing that is holding the money back is just to do the work. That is maybe, when I'm looking at this chart, would be, phoning up the customer or doing some marketing, or if nothing else, getting a system in place, making sure that the website works, making sure the sales funnel works, things like that. If it's not a business, then it does show that you might be working a side business to bring in some money, because Mercury in the 6th house does say that you're doing a lot. Most of this is right now, all the concepts and all of that, you have them in mind. Now it's time to start implementing those and see if the processes you're thinking of actually do work. Now, when it comes to money from traditional investments or money from your own business, it looks like you're making about the same as usual, because Mercury is not making an aspect with Neptune. Neptune is in a money house, however, so there is money flowing in, but it looks like there is maybe orders coming in, but you're not getting paid yet. Maybe the investments are starting to move in the right direction, but they're not high enough yet to take any profits. So you look like you are receiving some things in the way of resources, but those things are coming to you very slowly, probably outside this 2-week period. Now, when it comes to money derived from a career, so that would be like a paycheck, you have that Mercury in conjunct Mars. Mars is in Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. So those two things tie it together. The only thing is you do have the inconjunct energy. So what this boils down to is you could get the raise with some sort of strings attached to it. They're going to probably want you to work more or take on some sort of project that you weren't maybe excited about. There is some sort of downside in the gift that you're getting from the company. So that's the one thing to be aware of. If it's something that you can negotiate for, if you want, maybe you wanted the project because it's going to be high profile, but look at it from those sort of terms that they are going to ask for something in return. Okay, Virgo, you guys are doing this new moon in your 6th house. That is work, routines, daily habits, your health and well-being. And so this is where you can do something new, where you can look at health routines and start something new, change your eating habits, change your exercise schedule, This is also about looking at your daily routines and finding where you can be productive when you need to be productive, which would give you more time to relax when you want to relax. And so this is where you want to streamline what you're doing and look at what you can automate or what you can delegate so that you don't have so much on your shoulders. This is also about work and coworkers, so we have a lot of new energy there. That might mean you get some new coworkers or that you're doing something new for work. Now, where your mind is with that Mercury is on creative projects, looking at maybe doing art or music or something more fun. This is also your area of romance. It's also your area of children. And so maybe you're looking at spending more time with kids, or maybe you're expecting. I count pets in this area. I should differentiate. That would be pets that are indoor pets. So if you have a cat out in the barn, that's more 6th house. This is 5th house energy. So that's the pet that you have in the house with you. I mean, they can go out at times, but generally they are seen more as children. And so that's where your mind is. Where we see the action and that in conjunct Mars is in your house of career, reputation, and social standing. And so when we put this together with this in conjunct, it means stepping out of your comfort zone and maybe considering taking your art and showing your art to the world, or, launching your album. Maybe this is about helping children go out and find, jobs or a new place to live. Maybe that is just introducing them to society through parties or social occasions. This is about romance also, and so doing that in conjunct is about putting yourself out there, and so that you can be seen, so you can be found by love. So there are a ton of different opportunities here. One I like the most would be to start to brainstorm about a job or career that would be really fun, that has some creative elements in it, or lets you work with children. So that would work out with this aspect. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury is making an out-of-sign semi-sextile to Saturn. I know that's a mouthful, but what that means is that you can meet someone, but you are meeting somebody new when you are completely not expecting to. And that is that, you're at the post office and you're in your grubby clothes and you weren't ready for it, but there they are. So that's the kind of thing that can happen. Or you're meeting somebody and you didn't realize that you were going to really hit it off. It's also possible that someone you weren't expecting asks you out, and so that can kind of catch you by surprise. So love is possible here, but it's not in the more direct way. It's not just answering somebody who's emailed your profile. This is something more unexpected. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury is not making an aspect with Neptune. And so it feels like you're both, kind of settled back into your own routines. And so I don't see difficulty in the relationship, but I see you more just kind of working together on external things rather than the relationship itself. So if there's general harmony in the relationship, that continues. If you are kind of irritated with the way your partner does things, that's not really changing this month, or I should say just this 2 weeks. So because there's not energy really to work on it at this time, so you kind of have to just let it go. And then when the energy does line up, you'll have a chance to discuss it and work things out. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Venus, which is sitting there conjunct Saturn. Now, Saturn can be either a disappointment, a block, or where you really take the responsibility and say that you're the authority and that you're going to put in the time and energy needed to climb the mountain. That, of course, would be the correct thing to do, because that's where you're really going to get the success. Saturn is the planet of success, but it requires that hard work. And so Venus is in your house of work, sitting there at the base of the mountain with Saturn. And so if this is something that you want to do, then you put the effort in. And as you do, you will find that you want to do it more and more, because it's something that you're getting better at. usually we don't like things and we're not interested in things that we're not good at. But the only way to get good at it is to practice. And so that's what this says, is to do deep work, do really conscious practice, and that's what's going to lead to success. Now, I know that's sounding very philosophical. That is kind of an overarching, like, of course, Donna, that would make sense. But it's saying do that in the next 2 weeks and you make a breakthrough. So if you're having trouble finding the motivation to do something, maybe just switch the mind frame to say, oh, it's because I'm still not good at this. Because as you get better at it, you'll want to do it more and more. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, you're making about the same as usual. You do have Jupiter there, which is protecting you right now. So it does say that some money is going to be coming, as some extra money is going to be coming, but outside the 2-week period. Right now, Venus is not making an aspect with Mars. So the sales that you're making, the extra effort that you're doing, that is not showing up right now in your bank account. It will in the future, but right now you're making about the same as usual. And then when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, the moon's not making an aspect with Venus. You have a full 6th house. So if you are asking for more money, you're going to end up with more hours to work. So just be aware that you're not going to be given anything here just, out of the generosity of their heart. They're going to have an agenda. They're going to say, well, you need to work more hours. You need to work different hours or a different shift, or you have to work with these people that you don't like, or a project that you don't really want to do. Like there's some sort of thing that's not exactly the way you want it. This is just a 2-week period, so don't bother asking for a raise at this time. Instead, just push off that meeting until outside this 2-week period when this energy is going to line up better. Okay, Libra, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of pleasure, expression, creativity, romance, as well as children. And so the focus for you is to find new fun things to do. And those things could be with you on your own, with a romantic partner, or with your kids. This is also about expressing yourself creatively. And so that might mean that you are, doing a little bit of sewing or woodworking or baking or painting. There's something that is going to spark your imagination, and this is really a good time to do it. You might play with some of these art generators that we're seeing that are popping up everywhere. And so just to kind of explore your creative side. Now, when we look at that Mercury-Mars in conjunct, where we show this sort of adjustment that's needed is there's a lot of thoughts going on about home and family. And so maybe you are thinking about where you would like to live, maybe in a different place in the country, maybe in the world. Maybe you're looking at downsizing or upsizing. Maybe you're looking at changing your lifestyle quite a bit, and how the family would get along with that. And then the Mars is in that house of travel and education and adventure. And so there's this desire to go do some of these things, maybe test the waters, maybe try something out, like visiting the place you want to move to. Or, if you're thinking about doing more time on the road, what would that be like? And can you test that out? So this is very much about, taking some of the big ideas that you have, the big dreams, and starting to implement them in some small way. So, because if you feel that it's so all or nothing, like you're going to live in this apartment or you're going to go live on the road, instead of that, look at a way that maybe you can spend a weekend on the road and see how you like it. There's also a connection here between home and spirituality. And so that might mean bringing spirituality into the home. And so that is that maybe you're setting up a spirit's hearth where you have representations of what you're wanting to attract, both spiritually and materially. Perhaps you are incorporating some different practices and rituals into your daily life so that you can feel more connected to the universe. So these are some of the changes that you can make using this in conjunct energy. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, you have a full house. It's Sun, Moon, Venus, and Saturn, and Pluto's right outside that house. So that's very lucky. Now, there is no aspect going on between Venus and Uranus, but Venus is in Aquarius, and so that is ruled by Uranus. So we have this sort of connection. Uranus is in your house of intimacy. So like everything's lined up to say that you could meet someone new for a love relationship. So you do want to capitalize on this energy while you have it. And so let somebody fix you up on a date. Go out on somebody's recommendation, go meet with a matchmaker, go online. But even just going out and being social, go into some groups where you can meet some people. This is what you want to do because you have some really good energy over the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, I feel like things are going okay, but it's like you are more focused on maybe creativity or maybe the kids and not really interacting much with each other because Venus is not making an aspect with Mars. So this means that I feel like the relationship's just going along as usual. That might mean that you're not yet talking about the plans, the big changes that you want to make, for the family, etc. That's okay. It's that maybe you're working on different things, different aspects, and you're just not finding the time to come together. So I see the relationship going on as it usually does. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Pluto in the 4th house, as well as that Mars up in the 9th house. Now, Pluto in the 4th house does indicate that there is some opportunities to pool resources together with family or extended family for investments or money-making activities. So that could be happening at this time. It's also possible that you are doing some sort of contract or agreement for making money because Mars is elevated up in that 9th house. It's possible that this is some sort of import-export operation or has something to do with teaching or putting out information for people. And so all of these things could lead to some great money-making opportunities for you. Now, when it comes to your business or traditional investments, you're making about the same as usual, although there may be a little bit extra outgo this time, and that's possibly on some sort of technology or something that you're doing that is more creative. And so maybe trying something that's a little bit different, but there's no aspect going on between Venus and Pluto, and so the money's not quite reaching you. That is the result of this new activity that you're doing. So it's possible you're redesigning your website or that you're trying some investments that are a little bit more creative. And because of that, you're not seeing the profits right now. In fact, there could be a little extra outgo, but that's okay because in the future, this energy will line up and you'll see some profits. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so like a paycheck, you're doing some very good energy. The Sun is making an out-of-sign conjunction with Pluto. So this is your opportunity to ask for something more. Now, it's possible that these will come in some sort of creative fashion from the company because you're doing a very strong 5th house. And so that would mean that the company, raises the commission on certain items or gives you a perk for, some sort of bonus tied to performance or something like that. I do see the potential for you getting a raise or making more money over the next 2 weeks. So that's a possibility, but the company may get creative with it and maybe just give you like meal vouchers or something like that. Okay, Scorpio, you guys are doing this new moon right at the base of your chart. That's about foundations, about family, about your home. And so this is where something new is happening. So it's possible that you are looking at your childhood issues in a very different way. It's possible you're interacting with family members in some sort of new way. It is also possible that you are getting ready to move, and so that there is some energy around that you have secured a new place, and so you're packing, or you are just deciding that you're going to put the house up for sale. So we have some new energy in this area. If you're not wanting to move, it's a good idea to bring something new into the house, and that would be something like moving furniture around or some new throw pillows or something to give it some sort of lift so that it feels new, so that you don't have to change out the entire house. Now, when it comes to that Mercury-Mars in conjunct, Mercury is in your house of communications where it's very much at home. And so this is an opportunity for you to look at how you are talking to yourself, what your thinking is like. Is it very centered on negative thinking? Does that hold you back? This is also about paperwork, applications, as well as receipts and things like that. And so there could be this desire to get things organized, etc. Now it's making that in conjunct into Mars in your house of resources. So that might mean bringing somebody in to help you declutter or to organize your space. This is also possibly that you are working with somebody for investments or taxes, or maybe talking to a banker, and so you're filling out applications. This could be that you are talking to someone who understands the human mind and talking to them about, thinking process and how you can shift to something more positive. So all of that is where you're showing some adjustments. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, of course, Neptune is making a sextile to Pluto, and so you always have that opportunity until that energy separates, which it will at some point. So, but not this time. You still have that opportunity. Uranus is traveling through your 7th house. It's going to be doing that for a long time, but it does say to think outside the box a little bit. So if you've been looking for a long time and haven't found someone, it's time to challenge your rules or your expectations or how you're doing it to do something different. And this new moon energy is the perfect time to do that. So this is where you want to start to see something different happening, and that is by you starting to think differently about it. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Pluto, and this is an opportunity to work out some of the smaller things that could trip up the relationship down the road. And so if there's something that does irritate you, that your partner's doing, maybe they don't know that it's irritating to you, maybe they don't know how important it is to you, and so this is about voicing your opinions, voicing your concerns. Mercury is in your house of communication, so it is making that in conjunct to Mars, so you might be reticent about doing this, but it's a really good idea to really speak directly to the person. Sometimes when Mercury is going through a house of communication, you get nervous that there's going to be a blurt factor, that you're just going to, spill everything. But this is a time to at least start that conversation, because that's what's going to lead to change. And you can make a really positive change with this energy. You can make a real positive change between the two of you and strengthen the relationship. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Jupiter, which is now in Aries, in your house of work, routines, habits, these general attitudes that you have or the processes that you use. So, and you've probably heard this before, that it's not so important to have goals as it is to have systems. And so this Jupiter in Aries gives you several months of opportunities to establish systems that really work. So, and those might be systems for budgeting, those might be systems for, attracting clients, or for how you do business in general, so you can be more productive, so you have more time for leisure, and so therefore you can be more productive, and back and forth like that. So this is your opportunity to work those things out. So when you are problem solving about finances, look at systems and routines. That's going to be your key. When it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, you look like you're making more than usual. Jupiter is making a square to Mercury. You have Mars and Gemini in that house. So things are really starting to heat up and bring you opportunities. So it looks like your investments are heading in the right direction, that the profits are rolling in, customers or clients are coming in, like people are banging on your door. So this is a time where you really want to capitalize on it, and that is to ask people to go refer people to you and pursue any opportunities to make a profit right now because the energy is very good. Now, you also have good energy around money derived from career, and that is that Jupiter is making a square to Mercury, but Jupiter is in your house of work, so they need you, they want you there, and so there is a bigger opportunity for you to get more money. Now, it may come in the form of perks because Mars is connected with all this, being that Mars is in Gemini, and Mars is in that house of company stock, 401k match, bonuses, and other types of perks like discounts on insurance and stuff like that. So it's possible that your raise could be a combination of these things, but I do see you making more money over the next 2 weeks when it comes to working for someone else. So, and if you're looking for a job, be ready to negotiate for a higher salary because you could get it. Okay, Sagittarius, you guys are doing this new moon in your third house of communication, thinking process. It's also about vehicles, neighbors, siblings, and short distance travel. I don't know why I keep stumbling over that. So what this boils down to is new energy in this area. So you may be looking at shifting how you are thinking about things. That would be a reframe, like looking at something in a very different way, or trying to eliminate some negative thinking, or looking at starting something, doing journaling. The third house is very much about kind of emotion, like hand-eye coordination. So anything that you would be doing in that area, that would be something like knitting or juggling, or doing something where you need to be paying attention and it captures your attention, but you're doing something with your hands also. This can also be about relationships with siblings as well as neighbors. And so thinking about your neighborhood, maybe your mind is on that, maybe construction's going on, maybe a neighbor's moving in or moving out. And so there's some sort of shift possibly going on about that. So all of that's happening. Now, when we look at that Mercury-Mars in conjunct, Mercury is in your house of money. And so that's where your mind is, that you are thinking about different ways of making money, how to keep track of money, maybe looking at spending in general or all the stuff that you have and wondering if you have too much stuff or not enough stuff. And it's making an inconjunct to Mars in your house of relationships. So this may be that you are trying to get with your partner so that you're on the same page about money, or perhaps that you are combining two households together, like you're moving in together. And so now you have two sofas and you have two refrigerators, and what do you do with these? This might be about how you are dividing up the expenses. And so looking at, who's paying for what. This can be, though, in some very positive things, it's still an inconjunct. So it's outside your comfort zone, but, working with influencers or collaborating with other business professionals to boost your income. So this is also looking at what other people are doing about their finances and maybe incorporating some of those ideas. So all of these things are kind of encompassed in that inconjunct energy that you're doing. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Jupiter's making a sextile to Mars, plus Jupiter is in that house. So this is some of the best energy that you have had in a while. Oh, I even forgot to mention that Mars is in a relationship house. So everything related to relationships is in relationship houses right now. So that means it's time to at least communicate that you're interested in having a relationship. And that is, you might communicate to friends and family, you might communicate to the universe, you might communicate that message online. So this is also a good time to be seen, at least in your community, go out in your neighborhood and be out in the world instead of, hiding at home or just going to the usual places. Try to see other places in your neighborhood. Let people fix you up on dates and things like that, especially your siblings. So that's a way to tie together all of this energy. When it comes to existing love relationships, Jupiter is making a square with Mercury and Mars is in that house. You really have an opportunity to come together and talk about things in a new way, especially because you have a very strong house of communication. And so if in the past you have gone into an argument about something, this is a time to change the words or change your approach, change something, and you can really strengthen this love relationship. So I see the potential of having a really good 2 weeks, even having a breakthrough. So as long as you're doing something new when it comes to communication. Now, when it comes to friendships, Venus is making a semi-square to Jupiter. That means that you can meet someone new for a friendship, but it is going to take some effort either to get you out of the house or get you out of the neighborhood or to have you go do something where you're meeting this person. It's also possible that you are using some of your new communication skills to reestablish a relationship with a friend who maybe that you haven't talked in a while, maybe there was a falling out, but you have an opportunity to heal that relationship. And so that starts with you. You have to initiate the connection. Did I say Mercury was retrograde? Mercury is retrograde right now as I'm filming this, and it is causing me to slip over words and just fall on my face. So anyway, where was I? I was talking about you reconciling with a friend through new communication. That's where the aspect is leading, and so that's the opportunity. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Saturn, which is conjunct Venus, which rules money. So there is a really good money opportunity here. Now, this may start as an idea. Maybe you had the idea last year, and now you're starting to implement it. Maybe now you are getting down to the place where you are doing the contracts or agreements. Now maybe you're doing the marketing, but now you can really make something happen. This is a very strong energy for success, and so you do want to not miss this. You do want to take the action that's necessary, and that action is around communication, marketing, contracts, and agreements. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, the moon is making an out-of-sign semi-sextile to Saturn, which is a long way of saying it's a little bit of a reach. And that is that you do have to watch to make sure that there's not some small bit of friction that is stopping the money from coming to you. And that might be that maybe they don't have your correct address. Maybe there's something wrong with your sales funnel. Maybe you need to check in with your broker and establish an account so that money can be transferred into the right place. So there's some sort of possibly paperwork or technical thing that once you fix that, money can flow in. So, and once that's fixed, I see you making more money than usual. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, Venus is making a conjunction to Saturn. And so this is one of your best opportunities to ask for a raise. You have the ability now to negotiate for a higher salary or to get at least the promise of more money in the future. And so you want to take this opportunity to sit down with your supervisor and maybe start the conversation with, how can I make more money, or how can I rise in this business? And then they're going to lay out the plan for you. Or maybe you just say, hey, it's been a while since I had a raise. What are we doing about that? And so because you have very good energy right now for getting more money. Okay, Capricorn, you guys are doing this new moon in your house of money, which is your second house. And that is opportunities for you to have new sources of income and new thoughts about making money in general. The strongest thing that you can do is some sort of epiphany about how you're handling money or what money means, or different ways of going to get money, or just maybe shifting money to a different place on your list of priorities. Okay, so this is also about possessions. And so possessions is both acquiring possessions and storing possessions. And so that is looking at how you're doing shopping, but also maybe a new way of looking at what you are accumulating and deciding if you're going to keep things, if you're going to let them go, how you're going to store them, if you need to store them, etc. Now, when we look at that inconjunct between Mercury and Mars, Mercury is in your own sign of Capricorn, so it's sitting in your first house. This is about how you present yourself to the world. And so there might be a lot of thoughts about what you're going to say in situations, or how you might do presentations, or what your level of confidence is, and does it match your sense of how much you know, like, are you confident but you're faking it until you make it, or do you have the knowledge but you're not confident? So, and then this is making that inconjunct to Mars, and Mars is in your house of daily routines and habits. That's the sixth house. So that is that what action are you taking on a daily basis to make yourself stronger in these areas where you're meeting people on a regular basis, or you're doing presentations on a regular basis, or you're sitting in front of a camera on a regular basis. So it is about doing things on an everyday level. Now, of course, that Mercury in the first house also relates to your physical self, and that Mars in the sixth relates to health and wellness. So this is about changing eating habits, adding exercise to your daily schedule or weekly schedule, if the case may be. So this is about, trying to find the balance between how you feel physically and what you're doing on a daily basis that helps you, move forward in that area. Now, when it comes to relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a conjunction to Saturn. And so this is a big opportunity for you to meet somebody new for a love relationship. Now, the difficulty is there is no planet above the horizon. And that means that you have to get out into the world, because otherwise you're just hiding at home and the person is not finding you. Even if they're finding you online, for some reason, you're not visible, and so maybe you don't have pictures online or something. So, but you need to step out of your shelter to meet this person. And so that is that you may have to force yourself to get out a little bit, go do some fun things, and then you could meet someone. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon is making it an out-of-sign semi-sextile to Saturn, which means that generally your relationship is going pretty well, but there is one or two little things that your partner does that just irk you. And these aren't serious right now, but you could nip these in the bud by telling your partner that these do bother you. And so, maybe it's that they don't quite get things in the laundry hamper. They just get it kind of laundry hamper adjacent, or, that they don't give the cat quite enough food or something like that. There's some little thing, and once you explain yourself, things could be worked out. So this is, if you are not going to approach these things, then try to shift your own thinking about it and say, I'm not going to let this bother me. Or if it is bothering you, to sit down with them and talk about it, because you can improve the relationship if you do. When it comes to friendships, Saturn's making a semi-sextile to Pluto. So there is an opportunity to meet new friends, but there is a little bit of friction, and that friction is you're not leaving the house. And that is that even if you are leaving the house, you're going to the same places over and over, or when you are out, you're paying attention to your phone, or you're paying attention to your shopping. You're not really looking around. And it also could be that you are not connecting with friends even to go do stuff. Maybe they are traveling or doing something. So since you have an opportunity for better friendships right now, if that's something you're looking for, you need to make a little bit of an effort, and then it can happen. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Uranus in your house of creativity and self-expression, as well as that Saturn, which is in your house of money, along with the Sun, Moon, Venus, and Pluto's outside that house. So you have an enormous amount of money-making energy right now. So right now, this means that if you are not making money, you need to look at what you're saying to yourself, reframe them into good questions, reframe your thinking into something that helps you. So instead of, thinking in a very negative tone, or saying, like, why does this always happen to me? Or every time I make more money, I have more expenses, any of these sort of things, then the universe has to follow through and fulfill those for you. So look at reframing how you're speaking to yourself so that you can open yourself up to the possibilities that could be starting as soon as this 2-week period. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, the Sun is not making an aspect with Uranus. However, the Sun is in Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus. So you still have an opportunity to make more money than usual over this 2-week period. You have a strong money house, so it's just a matter of maybe reaching out to someone. Again, everything seems to be buried underneath this sort of it's like you're hidden a little bit. And so that means that, make sure that you're posting or marketing or calling up people. Maybe you just need to call up your broker and say, how is my portfolio doing? Even though you have a statement, you just, start a dialogue with this person. So that is, if you basically say to the universe, here I am, then the money can find you. Now, when it comes to money derived from your career, so like a paycheck, Saturn is making a semi-sextile to Pluto, but that's not a very strong aspect. And in the past, we've had multiple aspects, but this time we just have one for you. And so you have an opportunity, but it's not a real great one. Like, if you were throwing darts, you were throwing from very far away, and maybe you're blindfolded at the time, like you could hit the dartboard, but you may not hit it exactly the way you want. So that means if they're bringing it up, if your managers are bringing it up, then by all means talk to them. But this may not be a time for you to initiate this. In fact, what I would do is more visualization or affirmations in this area. I would set that tone spiritually, and then you can activate things when the energies line up in the physical world. Okay, Aquarius, this is your new moon, so this begins your new lunar year. So the lunar year is a 12-month period, of course, and so this is your time where you want to plant as many new seeds as possible. That is, do new things, meet new people, connect, and when you do, then opportunities have a chance to germinate and grow into a big harvest. So the next 2 weeks, try everything new. Go to different restaurants, take a different route to work, try new toothpaste, but most importantly, meet new people. Even just reaching out to someone to say that you're interested in something, it doesn't matter if it doesn't manifest over the 2-week period. It's oftentimes when we plant a seed, we don't see what's growing for a while. So, but this is your opportunity. Now, of course, this new moon is in your first house, and that's about your presentation out into the world. And so that's a time where you want to really be supportive of yourself. You want to just do radical self-acceptance and say, this is where I'm at. That doesn't mean that you are completely letting go of the past. It is just saying that you did the best you could at the time, and now that you know better, you do better. So, thank you for that quote, Maya Angelou. So that you want to be ready to present yourself out into the world, and to recognize that if you focus on the other person, then your focus is not on yourself and whatever you feel is not right. So just focus on the other person and things can go pretty well. Now, when we look at that inconjunct between Mercury and Mars, Mercury is in your house of spirituality. It is about intuition. It's also about your shadow self. It's about those parts of you that, the things you did that you didn't think were so great. It is also to where we go to escape and, to hide from the world. And so that can be through television or video games or just daydreaming. It is also where there is no boundary between you and the greater universe. So we have all of those things. I know some of those things feel a little, inconsistent or incompatible would be a better word. Sorry, I'm struggling with my vocabulary because Mercury retrograde is going on. But this Mercury here, the way to use this is to look at your spiritual practices. If you don't have some, to adopt some. Maybe that's prayer or meditation or journaling. To look at where you're trying to escape and then say, do I really need to escape? Is this what I should be doing at the moment? So, and then really cultivating this sense of connection with the greater universe. Now, it's making an inconjunct to Mars. Mars is in your 5th house. That's about creativity, fun, self-expression, as well as romance and kids. And so this may be about exploring who you are through art. I mean, it's amazing to me how many and just enormously generous people are out there on YouTube doing tutorials on all kinds of art and design and writing and all kinds of creative things, woodworking and sewing and cooking. It's just such a treasure. And so this is an opportunity to, put on a tutorial and try out some things. This is also about what's fun for you. What, like if you've forgotten what's fun is to go explore things or to have a little bit of romance, maybe create a little bit of romance in your life. And then spending time with your kids, really quality time, listening to them, talking with them, etc. So that's what this inconjunct energy is about for you this time. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury is making a trine to Uranus. This is one of your best opportunities for meeting somebody new. Now, the one little caveat is that the majority of your planets are below the horizon, so you're not that easy to find. And so because Mercury is in your house of spirituality, what you want to do is send out a spiritual message first. Tell the universe that you're looking, and then when you go out, you're more likely to run into a person who you can have a conversation with and maybe exchange contact info and maybe something can happen. Or when you're out online, you're more likely to, find the person or attract the person to you that you are really looking for. So, but first send out that spiritual message. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, things look like they're going pretty well because even though the sun's not making an aspect to Uranus, the sun is in Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus. And so there is some harmony that is happening. And that means that maybe at the beginning of the 2-week period, you're kind of, like missing each other. You're kind of, not really syncing up, but you can. You just intend for that to happen. If you just say, I want to spend some quality time with my beloved, and then things start to come together. And that's where you feel like, wow, there's some real harmony happening. Focus on the good things that are happening in the relationship, focus on the things that you're grateful about, and those are going to expand. Now, when it comes to friendships, Jupiter is making a semi-square to Uranus, so there is an opportunity to meet someone new. This is a step outside your comfort zone, though, for some reason. So maybe you're meeting this person through a group or organization, but you're a new person in the group, or maybe you are going to your high school reunion or something where you're feeling like you're not completely comfortable, but when you do, you have an opportunity to meet someone who could become a potential new friend and introduce you to more people. So this is good energy. It's just a little bit difficult at the beginning. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Neptune, which is in your house of money. It's going to be there for a while. So there is still this energy here that meditation on money, looking at your attitudes about money, harmonizing with the energy of money is very valuable to you. You're also pulling money from Jupiter, which is now in Aries in your house of communication. So first you do the meditation and then you go out and do the marketing. First you visualize the talking to the prospect or the potential customer, and then make the phone call or then send the email. So if you do things in that order, then you're using Neptune and Jupiter to their highest capacity, and that way you can attract more money. Now, when it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, it looks like you're making about the same as usual. In fact, it looks like you're working a little bit behind the scenes on something. Maybe you're strengthening the infrastructure of it, working on the website, maybe you're working on a new product, but you're not quite ready to launch. And so it looks like you're going to be making more money outside this 2-week period, but right now you're making about the same as usual because there's no aspect going on between that Mercury and Neptune. When it comes to money derived from career, so that's like a paycheck, the Neptune's not making an aspect with Jupiter. Now, Neptune is in a money house, and so, but I feel like that right now it's difficult for you to get a raise. It almost looks like your boss is elsewhere, or you're not visible. Maybe you're working at home. Maybe you're attending meetings with your camera off. There's something where they're not seeing you. They're not seeing your contribution right now. This energy will be better in the future, but right now it may not be beneficial for you to ask for a raise because I think that they're going to then just notice you in a way where they're going to give you more work rather than more money. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and stay tuned because LaRue wants to say hi. Okay, Pisces, you guys are doing this new moon in your 12th house. So this is the end of your lunar cycle, your 1-year lunar cycle. And so this is a time in your cycle where you want to be looking at all the things that you did over the past year, what worked, what didn't, what do you want to let go of, and what do you want to retain to go forward. So this is about focusing also on things that you have done to attract more to you. So that is asking your friends to introduce you to new friends, asking your friends to introduce you to a new relationship, trading with people, bartering for different services, or, saying, okay, I have too many clothes and you have too many books and maybe we can do an exchange, something like that. So it's this more 12th house sort of energy, which, by the way, is also very spiritual, very psychic, but it is very much about looking within. So doing meditation, journaling, visualization, working on your goal board, and doing those shifts internally so that then you can do them externally. Now, when it comes to that inconjunct between Mercury and Mars, Mercury is in your 11th house. That's about friendships, the future, also about groups, organizations, your community, as well as technology. So when you are looking at this, this is about going out into the world and meeting new people, but through groups and organizations, maybe getting involved in meetup groups, maybe seeing people in person, maybe online. So maybe joining a professional organization. This could be just going out with your friends. Maybe you haven't been out with your friends in a while. Maybe you want to connect with them and talk about what you're planning for your future. This is also about technology and getting up to speed with technology. I know that's getting harder and harder because technology is moving so incredibly fast. And so when it comes to technology, always remember it's kind of like learning a language. You want to ask yourself, what question do what's the one thing that you're going to need? I guess not so much a question, but okay. Let me start that again. Sorry, Mercury is retrograde. And whenever I film these during Mercury retrograde, it's kind of like, a little bit of a train wreck. So what I mean by that is that if you were going to learn a language, you wouldn't sit down and memorize a dictionary. So when I see people who are new at technology or who are a little nervous about technology and they just feel so overwhelmed by it, the thing they're not doing is asking themselves, what's the one thing that they need to, make the next step happen. So in a language, it might be, learning the phrase, can I order a cup of coffee and where's the restroom, that sort of thing. In technology, it might be, how do I attach a picture to an email? Or, how do I attach this API to my website? So it is something like that where you're asking a very specific question. By the way, that's how you learn astrology too, by asking questions and trying to figure out, okay, how do I find a good day to fly? Or how do I know that this is a good connection for a friendship? So asking those questions, because astrology also it's like, volumes. I mean, you can see behind me, astrology books. It's volumes of information. So I mention astrology because that's also 11th house, and that's where your Mercury is. Now, all of that is doing it in conjunct to Mars. Mars is in your 4th house of home and family. And so you're trying to somehow be out in the world and also at home at the same time, or home is pulling you and so you can't go out, or you're only out but you're not at home. So how you could reconcile this is you might have friends over for dinner, or that you might have the group come into your home, or you might host the Zoom meeting in your home. So you might take the family out and, go to a networking meeting as a family. When it comes to technology, you might pull in family members who know more about technology than you do. And when it comes to your future, you might sit down with the family and do your vision board together. And so that's how you can use that in conjunct. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the moon's making an out of sign semi-square to Neptune. Now, that's a pretty intense and yet sort of unconventional, not unconventional, it's a little bit unexpected is what can happen. And so that can mean that somebody asks you out of the blue and completely catches you off guard. And so I'm telling you, be on guard, because somebody could do that. And that you might be asked out by someone that you had already decided you didn't want to go out with. And this may be a time to reconsider that, or maybe this is the time to really just review why you have decided that you are not going to see this person. Maybe you're being asked out by somebody who's not completely out of their older relationship. So that's a reasonable thing to say no to. But maybe it's just that they weren't fitting your ideal picture. But as you get to know them, maybe they could. And so there's something that is unexpected happening, but it also may pull you a bit out of your comfort zone when it comes to new love. Now, when it comes to your existing love relationship, there's no aspect going on between Mercury and Neptune. And so it feels like you're in your own little world and they're in their own little world. And so you're not really coming together to work on the relationship. You're coming together for meals, maybe you're sleeping together, but you're not really working on the relationship. And that's perfectly fine because you look like you're doing a lot of inner work on yourself. That is so important. I mean, that's, when people say, you're like, what's the one thing that I could do that can make a huge difference? And that is to work on the inner stuff. Where are you holding yourself back? Where are you blocking yourself? Where are you holding on to the past? And that is, detrimental to your future. So that's what to work on here. And so the relationship, your existing love relationship is just going along as usual. Now, when it comes to friendships, Neptune is making a semi-sextile to Saturn. And so there is an opportunity to meet somebody new for a friendship or to meet several people. The semi-sextile says that you have to do something. There's a little bit of friction, and maybe that is that you have a couple of different events to go to. And so go to the one where you can meet people because that would be your opportunity to meet new friends. Or maybe that when you go to the event, you're hanging about in the shadows or by the punch bowl or something. So this is about stepping up and meeting people. But when you do, you have an opportunity for friendship. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Mars in your fourth house. It's been there for a while because Mars has been retrograde and now it's direct. And so you've had a long time to be looking at family issues around money, childhood issues around money, or pulling family together to do some sort of money venture together. And so this is, you're kind of running low on time to do this. So if you've been thinking about pulling the family together for something, now is the time to actually act on it. This is a time to talk about it, maybe to ask younger relatives to help you with the technology side of it, ask older relatives their advice about business, or see if people will pool together funds for a business venture. When it comes to traditional investments or money from your business, you're making about the same as usual. There's no aspect going on between Venus and Mars, and there's a lot of behind the scenes work happening. So it's possible you're revamping your website or you're working on some new products or things like that haven't been launched yet, so the money's not there. I think that your investments are starting to go in the correct direction, but it's not strong enough yet for you to take profits. So you're probably making about the same as usual. I see you're not really paying attention to it because you're very focused on either working out the back office of the business, or you're working on other things. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, there's no aspect going on between Mars and Saturn. Now, also, because the new moon is in your 12th house, you're at the very end of a cycle. So that's not really a time when something really big and new is going to happen. Even though this is a new moon, it is more the beginning of planning for the new stuff. So if you are going to talk to your boss about a raise, set the meeting outside this 2-week period. Otherwise, just wait until you get past this 2 weeks, and then you can sit down with them when the aspects do line up, which they will line up in the future. Just right now, it's not there, and you're a little bit invisible, and so that combination doesn't make it easy for you to get more money. I think that this is a better time to be working on your own projects and especially working behind the scenes to get systems in place so that you can be more productive, so you can get more done in less time, so you have more time for fun, creativity, leisure, etc. So again, this energy will line up in the future. In fact, it wasn't off by too much. So that means that this is going to be I shouldn't say that. It's off by a lot. It's just that Mars moves really fast, and so it will line up in the future. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and stay tuned because LaRue wants to say hi.